back, everybody. What we want to do in today's video is come back to our project that we started in our last one. We want to do a little bit of refactoring, clean some things up, and then we're going to install a couple tools that are going to make sure, first, it's going to speed us up, but also we're going to get our overall code quality to be a little bit better. And so we're going to install two tools, ESLint and Prettier, and we're going to get those set up with our IDE, and that's going to help us in as we work on the rest of this project. So let's jump in. So last time we were together, I talked about how I did not really like. We want in our test. This is pointing to our index file, and we've got multiple of these. We're gonna rename some of these as well. But we have multiple of these, and if you see when we run this, this is actually not really understanding which index we're going to use. And so when we actually specify no index, we actually want everything to be relative to this source. And so I made one modification outside of the video, and that was going to be using this base URL, this source. And then the other thing, you'll notice that our IDE is expecting it, and there's no errors here. If we come back and erase this, we will see that our error comes back. So changing this, our IDE understands it. However, Jest is still complaining. And that's even after we restart Jest. So we're going to actually modify this config, and we're going to add in this root directory and these module directories. So our root directory is our working directory, and then the relative to the actual path that this Jest file is in. And then we are going to actually have our node modules and our source as where our module directories are. And so if we restart our tests here, we're going to see that they all pass now. And so this is a lot cleaner look. So going on this same exact, continuing this refactor, I'm not really a fan of this index. And a lot of examples I've seen, they've used app. And looking at this more, this is really not descriptive at all. So I think we should rename some of these. Let's rename this back to app. Let's move this back to app here. And I think this server, yes, it's a server, but I think let's just call this an app. Our tests are still passing. Let's come into our app and make sure, does this make sense? So our app is listening. Here's our Express app, and we are exporting this. Now, can we just export default that? We cannot. So we'll just keep it server, and we'll keep maybe app server is a little bit more descriptive. So let's continue to poke around some of these files, and do we like everything? Let's get rid of some of this boilerplate code. We're going to say hello. We're going to, instead of saying, we'll continue to have this so welcome to the Streaks API. This port is fine for now here. Let's continue looking around. Our tests are looking solid. Task index, I think that looks fine. So one interesting thing is this task is going to be, this task is living here in this route. I think we can easily see that we're going to be wanting to reuse this eventually. And so for now, I think we're okay to leave this. However, in the next video, and when we start working on databases and migrations, we're going to want to actually start pulling these interfaces out, moving them up. Potentially we'll be putting them in a shared directory. And one of the beautiful things about TypeScript is we can share our types between our back end and our front end if we're using Node in the back. It's one of the things I absolutely love. And I think we'll pull these out because they're no good to us if we have another if we'll have a web project, a front-end project, a front-end React project. Well, we want to be able to still get these tasks out of that. And we're not going to go into the API when we're in our React app to get these interfaces. So we'll have a shared types folder as well. So this, I think we're good with this currently. Let's move around some more, and we don't really have too much. So one of the things I really like, let's jump into our ESLint and Prettify portion. And if you notice here, we have a mix of double quotes, single quotes. Some of our styling is okay. I've done a decent job in keeping things pretty consistent. However, see if I have some extra spaces, nothing is stopping us from closing that gap. And so we actually want to close that gap automatically. And so that we're going to actually get ESLint running. So let's double check our tests. We look good there. And so let's jump right on over to ChatGPT and let's ask it, how do we install ESLint and Prettify in a node project and get it to run on auto on file save in GoLand? So we'll let that build. Let me pull this over here, and here's where actually we can see. Let me go back up. So we've got install ESLint, Prettify, and Prettier in our Node.js project. Create a config, create a Prettier config, configure GoLand, configure ESLint. So let's go ahead and do that. We've got all here. Let's go ahead and get all these running. So that's going to be those. That's ESLint installed. Let's install Prettier. And then we're going to go ahead and make this ESLint.js file right in our parent directory here. And we're just going to go with their recommended for now. In another video, perhaps we will modify this. In fact, I can already tell I don't like some of these rules here. So this is Prettier RC. Prettier RC. Probably spelled that wrong. Let's go ahead and rename that. And if you haven't used this, you're in for a real treat to see the power of this. When I was first introduced to this, I realized how much time I would be saving. So single quotes, I like to use double quotes personally. So I'm going to say false, a semicolon. I like to see semicolons. Use tabs, yes. And our tab width is going to be 4. Print width is 80. Use code based on Prettier for this project. Yes. Single quote. Okay. So that's looking good. And now let's see what else we need to do to configure this in GoLand. So we need to go to our preferences and go to Prettier. We're going to do on code reformer. So let's see if this is actually already working for us. And easy way to check, I can make a couple spaces and save, and it is not working. And so that's totally fine. Let's come in here and we are going to type in Prettier. And we can see that, okay, this Prettier package, it is in this file. And we've already configured Prettier, and here we are here, enable on code reformat. Okay, apply here. And then we're going to go to ESLint. Okay, Node.js and npm. Node.js and npm. So languages and frameworks. I believe we might already have the ESLint package. So if we don't, I would recommend you would probably have to download this. But we've already got it here. So run on save, and so that's what we're going to do. We're going to do automatic, and we're going to run ESLint on save. We're going to press OK, and we're going to save. There's our file. We see that everything now is using a single or a double quote. And what was one of our files that had both? You see all these errors where it does not like what we're doing. So we're just going to do a quick save. We'll go around. Okay, so ESLint is actually complaining. So ESLint is complaining about describe and other global variables. So we're going to have to actually plug this in. Oh, we need a jest plugin for our ESLint, and then it looks like we'll have some more options to add. So let's get this working here. Plugins are going to be, let's look at our ESLint file. Okay, this looks like plugins needs to go in. Prettier's here, but we also want to add jest. And our env, we want to add a jest rule. We want to have extends jest. Rules, we are going to add a couple of these. And we'll see if it's still complaining. We'll go back to our task, and now our errors are gone. So we're just going to continue to come around and save all of our files, and you'll see all these errors that we're going to get. Let's see if it's complaining about our interface. The ESLint config provided is not taking into account TypeScript. So what we'll do is, instead of using the default provided, let's use this much more simplified version of a tsconfig file. And what we'll do is we'll move over some of our options into it. So we want to use our out directory, and we are going to use that sounds good to me. And let's include all of our source. Oh, we need to make sure that we're including our source and our base URL, our change that we added earlier today. And from here, let's get rid of all this, and let's see if our ESLint continues to complain. It does. So it looks like it might be actually no problems in our ESLint now. Details. Parsing error was configured to run. What if we just remove this? Does it still complain? Oh, and would you look at that? Did it work now? No problems in our file. How about here? Is it complaining? Okay, everything looks to be good. I wasn't really sure what that is. It's the problem with copying and pasting. So it looks like our ESLint is all working now. Let's continue to clean up some of these files where we don't need some of these comments. Prettier looks good. And what we'll do, we'll go through them all really quick. Our index looks solid and saved. Our task looks solid and saved. Our app looks good. ESLint looks good. Prettier looks good. How about our package? Can we save this? It's not adding on this, but this looks good. And our tsconfig file also looks great. All right, so I think we're looking good in this video. Thanks for joining me today. And in the next one, we're going to be adding a few more routes, trying to make sure we are matching all of our routes. Right now we've got the get, the post, the put. We don't have a delete on here, but we have our delete, but we don't have a post and delete because we need to track that a task has actually been completed. So we'll do that in our next video, and we'll see you next time.